Semion Yudkovich Mogilevich, a Russian organized crime boss, was born on June 30th, 1946. Described by agencies in the European Union and the United States as the boss of bosses of most Russian Mafia syndicates in the world, he is believed to direct a vast criminal empire and is described by the FBI as the most dangerous mobster in the world. He has been accused by the FBI of weapons trafficking, contract murders, extortion, drug trafficking, and prostitution on an international scale. To continue learning the story of Semion Yudkovich Mogilevich, then keep watching until the end of the video. Also, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button. Now without further ado, let's get started. Semion joined the Lyubarskaya crime clan in the early 1970s. After his apprenticeship, he started his own syndicate, the Solntsevo gang. Mogilevich exploited his own people by stealing millions of dollars from Jewish citizens seeking to leave Russia for refuge in Israel and the United States in the 1980s. He and his wife Katalin Papp have 3 children together. Mogilevich's net worth is estimated to be $10 billion. Mogilevich's nicknames include Don Semion and the Brainy Don because of his business acumen. According to US diplomatic cables, he's said to control Energo, a company actively involved in Russia-Ukraine gas disputes and a partner of Raiffeisen Bank. The FBI has been unsuccessful in charging him for arms trafficking and prostitution, and so are going after large-scale fraud charges. He is suspected of participation in large-scale tax fraud, where untaxed heating oil is sold as highly taxed car fuel. The scandal is estimated to have cost taxpayers around 100 billion CZK, which is around 3.5 billion pounds. Semion Mogilevich was placed on the FBI's 10 most wanted list in 1998. Bank, owned by Mogilevich's group, and Bank Menatep participated in a $10 billion money launderings through the Bank of New York. Authorities struggle to nail this slippery character for his grave crimes. Known as Brainy Don because of his economics degree, he gained infamy as the leader of the Red Mafia, a brutal Russian mob family that grew into a global crime cartel. The FBI claims Mogilevich has operated under 8 aliases, while Russian authorities say he has 17 different names. The details surrounding Mogilevich's early life are murky. According to the Village Voice, he was born in Ukraine and eventually became a member of the Lyubarskaya crime group. Soviet Union authorities became aware of him in the 1970s, after he had been involved in petty thefts and counterfeiting. By the 1980s, he was defrauding Jewish refugees by promising to exchange their priceless goods for land, only to run away with the profits. In the 1990s, he became an Israeli citizen and married a Hungarian woman. He formed significant political ties in Israel and built a 250-member criminal organization headquartered in prostitution clubs and full of educated associates in Budapest. He also basically bought up the entire Hungarian arms industry, and by 1994 became a legitimate weapons manufacturer that even showcased at a US gun convention. His first significant fortune was derived from scamming fellow Russian Jews eager to emigrate to countries including the United States and Israel. Mogilevich made the deals to buy their assets, sell them for fair market value, and forward the proceeds. Instead, he simply sold the assets and pocketed the proceeds. He served 2 terms in prison of 3 and 4 years for currency dealing offenses. William Sessions, former FBI director from 1987 to 1993, during the presidencies of Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush, was Mogilevich's attorney in the United States until Sessions' death on June 12, 2020. Beginning in the early 1980s, according to the FBI, Mogilevich was the key money laundering contact for the Solntsevskaya Bratva. In early 1991, Mogilevich moved to Hungary and married his Hungarian girlfriend Katalin Papp. He had 3 children with her and obtained a Hungarian passport. Living in a fortified villa outside Budapest, he continued to invest in a wide array of enterprises, including buying a local armament factory, Army Co-op, which produced anti-aircraft guns. In 1994, the Mogilevich Group obtained control over Bank, one of the largest private banks in Russia, in a secret deal with bank chairman Vladimir Vinogradov, getting direct access to the world financial system. The bank collapsed in 1998 under suspicions of money laundering. In May 1995, a meeting in Prague between Mogilevich and Sergei Mikhailov, head of the Solntsevskaya Bratva, was raided by Czech police. The occasion was a birthday party for one of the deputy Solntsevo mafiosi. 200 partygoers, including dozens of prostitutes in the restaurant Uholobu, owned by Mogilevich, were detained and 30 expelled from the country. Police had been tipped off that the Solntsevo group intended to execute Mogilevich at the party over a disputed payment of $5 million. But Mogilevich never showed up, and it is believed that a senior figure in the Czech police working with the Russian Mafia had warned him. Soon, however, the Czech Interior Ministry imposed a 10-year entry ban on Mogilevich, while the Hungarian government declared him a persona non grata, and the British barred his entry into the UK, declaring him one of the most dangerous men in the world. In 1997 and 1998, the presence of Mogilevich, Mikhailov, and others associated with the Russian Mafia behind a public company trading on the Toronto Stock Exchange, YBM Magnex International Incorporated, was exposed by Canadian journalists. In 1998, Incombank and Bank Menatep participated in a US $10 billion money laundering scheme through the Bank of New York. Mogilevich was also suspected of participation in large-scale tax fraud, where untaxed heating oil was sold as highly taxed car fuel, one of the greatest scandals that broke around that time. Estimates are that up to 1/3 of fuels sold through this scheme, resulting in massive tax losses for various countries of Central Europe, such as the Czech Republic, Hungary, Slovakia, and Poland. In the Czech Republic, the scandal is estimated to have cost the taxpayers around 100 billion CZK, which is equal to $5 billion US. This event also involved murder and the attempted assassination of a journalist writing about the scandal. In 2003, the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation put Mogilevich on the wanted list for participation in the scheme to defraud investors in Canadian company YBM Magnex International Inc., frustrated by their previous unsuccessful efforts to charge him for arms trafficking and prostitution. They had now settled on the large-scale fraud charges as their best hope of running his endeavors into the ground. Around this time, he was considered to be the most powerful Russian mobster alive. In a 2006 interview, former Clinton administration anti-organized crime czar John Weiner said, "I can tell you that Semion Mogilevich is as serious an organized criminal as I have ever encountered, and I am confident that he is responsible for contract killings." Mogilevich was arrested in Moscow on January 24, 2008 for suspected tax evasion. His bail was placed and he was released on July 24, 2009. On his release, the Russian Interior Ministry stated that he was released because the charges against him are not of a particularly grave nature. Ivan Fursin has been closely linked to Mogilevich. On October 22, 2009, Semion was named by the FBI as the 494th fugitive to be placed on the 10 most wanted list. In December 2015, he was removed from the list because the FBI indicated he no longer met list criteria for reasons relating to living in a country in which the United States does not maintain an extradition treaty. According to FBI reports, Mogilevich had alliances with the Camorra, in particular with Salvador DeFalco, a lower echelon member of the Giuliano clan. Mogilevich and DeFalco would have held meetings in Prague in 1993. In addition to the FBI's 10 most wanted list, Interpol also lists Mogilevich on its inventory of Europe's most wanted. Unlike most entries on the list, the FBI knows exactly where Semion is. Mogilevich still lives freely in Moscow, in spite of the warrants issued against him. As per Mogilevich himself, government law enforcement agencies throughout the world have been trying to prosecute him for over 10 years, but he had, in the words of one journalist, a knack for never being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Both Mogilevich and his associate Mikhailov have ceased travel to the West since the late 1990s. Semion currently lives freely in Moscow and has 3 children. He is most closely associated with the Solntsevo Bratva crime group. Mogilevich has close alliances with political figures including Yuri Luskov, the former mayor of Moscow, Dmytro Firtash, and Leonid Derkak, former head of the Secretary Service of Ukraine. Oleksandr Tersnyov, who was designated as acting president of Ukraine in February 2014, appeared in court in 2010 for allegedly destroying files pertaining to Mogilevich. Russian FSB defector Alexander Litvinenko, shortly before his assassination, claimed that Mogilevich had a good relationship with Vladimir Putin since the 1990s. He may not be as immediately familiar as household names like Al Capone, Frank Costello, and Carlo Gambino, but in the world of crime, Semion Mogilevich looms just as large. The world's most wanted subject, who has denied multiple claims of money laundering, drug trafficking, tax fraud, weapons stockpiling, and funding terrorism, is still being chased by the FBI, Interpol, and Israeli intelligence today. Per a 1999 New York Times article, after the Soviet Union fell and its military forces withdrew, generals alleged that they sold their weapons to Mogilevich, who in turn sold them at much higher prices to countries like Iraq, Iran, and Serbia. A 1995 British intelligence report estimated that he was worth $100 million, and he was further accused of orchestrating a $150 million money laundering and racketeering scheme in the United States through a Philadelphia-based magnet company. Authorities have struggled to actually pin all these crimes on Mogilevich, however, as his empire has thrived on politicians who looked the other way, all while likely getting paid under the table. In Europe and Russia, the corruption of police and public officials has been part of the Semion Mogilevich organization's modus operandi, stated a classified FBI document acquired by the Village Voice. In response, Mogilevich told the New York Times that all accusations of laundering, controlling the drug trade, prostitution, and contract murders is nothing but the raving of the FBI, which is trying to obtain more money from Congress to fight the Russian Mafia. Mogilevich was arrested in Moscow on January 24, 2008, for suspected tax evasion under a cosmetics company, but he was released on July 24, 2009. As Business Insider reported in 2014, Mogilevich is now openly living in Russia and has largely stayed out of the public eye. The US does not have an extradition treaty with Russia, so as long as he remains in the country, Mogilevich may avoid prosecution forever. Don't forget to like this video and share, and so you don't miss out on new videos, subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications. Until next time.